Thank you so much for dropping in and giving me the beautiful presence of your time, which is the most precious thing you have. I want to talk about comparison today, and this has really been interesting. I want to talk about comparison, and this has been really interesting. It's funny because two of my calls that's come through for two of my private clients, and it's amazing the perception that we have on somebody else's life, or the perception we have on where we should be compared to where we are, or the perception that we have that we aren't doing as well as what we should, or we aren't have grown as much as what we should have, or we're not where we wanted to be, or, we have these stories going on ahead that we should always be more or better or further along, or I don't have that big shiny thing, or, oh my goodness, I don't have this, I don't have that. And there's two things that are playing out. Number one, when we're always wanting to be somewhere else, that we're always thinking, oh my God, why don't I have more of this? Why? We're actually living in a lack of mentality. So you're actually going to create more lack in your life. When you can get in, this happens especially with money, when you're like, oh, when I get, I will have, when I have this, I'm going to be, when I'm doing this, I'm going to be, when I'm actually embodying this, when I'm actually creating it, when I've actually launched this, when I. And we're actually sitting in a massive amount of lack of. And the other thing which I want to speak to today is that we get ourselves into some sort of comparison with others, because in the end, the only person that we really need to take stock of and decide if we should be a certain place or have a certain thing is ourselves. And when we go into a place of comparison, we're robbing ourselves from the happiness and joy of this moment, of the gratitude and of the love for where we are and how far we've come and what we actually have. We're stopping ourselves from realizing that we're doing amazingly no matter where we are, no matter what we have. And who knows what's going to happen tomorrow? That we're not being in that beautiful, grateful, juicy energy of receiving because we're sitting in the lack of, or we're sitting in the comparing ourselves to somebody else. And when we're constantly comparing ourselves to somebody else, we're actually giving away our power. We're giving away our worthiness. We're putting ourselves in this box and saying, well, they're better than me because they have X, Y, Z, or they have this and I don't have it, so they must be better. And we get all these stories start playing out in our head. And a couple of things I want to touch on is that I want to touch on that you never know what is happening in somebody else's life, especially with this crazy social media. We only see what we see. People don't necessarily let you see the depths of their soul, or the heartache, or the stress, or the struggle, or the moments of when they nearly gave up, and the moments of when they, were in the shower crying, or the moments that, and especially when it comes to business as well, that's like, oh, I created millions. Oh, I went from $10 to 10,000K months in 4 months. Half the time, that is the most biggest load of crap I've ever heard of, because I have followed a lot of people where I know what's happening in the back end of their life. And people only allow you to see what they need to see, what they want you to see. So when you're placing your reality around an external reality that's not necessarily exactly what it is, then the perception that you have is completely different from what actually is playing out. So you start beating yourself up. Oh, I should be further along. How come she made 10K in 4 months? Why aren't I? Why aren't I making it? What am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? Oh my goodness. And then we start beating ourselves for not being where they are. And then we start having those little voices of, well, clearly they're worthier than you, and clearly they're better than you, and clearly you're never actually going to get there. And we start self-sabotaging, and we go into overwhelm, and we stop because we believe so much of our external environment. When we can get into the space of realizing that we are doing the best we can with what we've given, when we can realize that what we're actually doing is great. If we're taking one step ahead of ourselves every day, if we're doing one thing that's going to create a better life, whether it's with our body, whether it's feeding our body beautiful nutrition, whether it's loving ourselves, whether it's building more wealth within our business, whether it's, loving the people that are around us, whether it's creating a different life for yourself by just doing some little tiny things, then that's all that matters. Because trust me, the flow-on effect will start happening. The flow-on effect is when you commit to your life and stop worrying about what everybody else is doing, thinking, saying, acting, and you really come into your soul and you decide that you're going to be the best version of you, that you're going to do the best you can with what you've been given, and you're going to create more for yourself because you are worthy, and you do the consistent activity that leads you to that end result, then you're going to get there. And not only that, is your life's going to be authentically yours. Because when we start looking at other people and we start comparing ourselves to other people, we start taking on their life. We start doing things how they do. Then we start thinking that we need to do different things than what we're already doing. When in fact we are actually, when we're locked in and we're channeling and we're in our higher self, we're being led exactly where we need to go. We only need to be focusing on our journey because it is our journey to live. Let them go and do what they're doing. If they want to say what they're saying, or they want to create what they're creating, or they want to look at the materialistic side of something, or they want to, whatever they're doing, that's great. That's for them. That's their life. What feeds your soul? What do you desire in your life? Make a plan and stick to it and do something aligning to it every single day. It doesn't matter how long it takes you because it's the journey, it's not the destination. Most of the time you never reach the destination because you're always on this beautiful forward moving journey because you're aligning with your soul. I remember when I came back from Bali, was it 2 years ago? And I had all these things I created. I was just in such flow where I had all these different retreats. I retreated in Italy, Croatia, Bali, Australia. Had all these beautiful, not Australia, sorry, that was afterwards. New Zealand, had all these retreats in place and things were absolutely flowing. And then I came home and I'd just come back from being in Bali for, I think it was 2 months. And it was great. I was happy. And then the whole situation happened and it put me backwards. I didn't in that couple of months after that, I went from making really good money to nothing. I went from a great bank balance to struggling to put $15 petrol, deciding whether we were going to get petrol in the car or whether we were going to put food in our mouth. You haven't seen the struggles that people have got to go to get where they are. In this next 2 years, where I am now, I built and I built and I built and I did the action that I did. I did not worry about anybody else and what they were doing. I concentrated and went deeply into what I was doing because what happened is I remember sitting there going, well, that person's, they're still okay. Oh my goodness, look at me. And I started getting in that whole comparison. And when you start getting in comparison and you start judging yourself on somebody's actions or what you perceive someone to be, what you perceive that's happening within their life, then you are taking away the power from where you need to be. And you're taking away the power from yourself because this is your life to live and it doesn't matter what anybody else is doing. It doesn't matter what anybody else is doing. If you stay on your beautiful flow-based reality and on your path, and this is something I always say, just do you, boo. I look at myself in the mirror and I go, just do you, boo. Just do you because you're amazing. Whereas I used to look at myself and go, what the fuck are you doing? Why are we where we are again? Why do we keep creating this life? Why can't I push through? Why is this? Why can't I get over 10K months? Why? It's such a different attitude because then you start looking for ways because you become a seeker. So you start looking for ways that you can fill yourself to create that life that you want, to get that goal, to move up, to get back into the space that you want. And this is what I did 2 years ago. I was like, oh my God, I need to make some money fast. What the hell am I going to do? What's everybody else doing? How are they creating money in this craziness? And then I realized that what I was doing is that I was just following the herd. I was living in an old paradigm of business. I was living in an old paradigm of life. That's just that The way that we used to look externally for ways to fill ourselves internally and for ways to grow is the old paradigm. It is now about going within, doing the beautiful healing work, deciding what's best for you, deciding where you want to go, that you're worthy enough, that you have that courage inside you, that you don't need anything externally to fill it, that you don't need anyone to tell you what to do. You have this beautiful channel that if you are living in a place of pleasure, play, and happiness, then you are absolutely on the right path. And it doesn't matter if you don't have 10 grand or 20 grand in your bank. If you have love in your heart and you are moving in that beautiful forward direction, trust me, everything is going to start to put in place. Everything is going to start to click in place. And when I did that, when I decided that I would stop looking externally and I would get rid of these stories that I was telling myself, that everybody else was doing better than me, that everybody else was doing amazing, and I was just sitting here, just my whole life, I felt the drama, and I felt like my whole world had crashed. I still had a roof over my head. And that's the other thing. I went into comparison, I went out of gratitude. And gratitude is the emotion of receiving. Gratitude is the place that you must live in to manifest what you're actually wanting. What you're wanting, not what somebody else has or what somebody else perceives or what you see. Because trust me, you never know what's going on in somebody else's life. So how can you compare what they're doing and how far they've come? How can you know what's going on in their inner world? I could be sitting here like this and I could be crying on the inside and you'd have no idea. Although with me, I tell you all because the last couple of days. You cannot compare yourself to somebody else unless you've walked a day in their shoes. You can't. They might have a great business and a shitty home life. They might want what you have and you're sitting there comparing yourself to them and they're going, God, I really like what she has. Oh, my hair should be straight. Oh, and I'd rather have curly, blonde, red, black. Be happy with what you have. Get into that beautiful state of gratitude and that deep, deep love and get rid of the comparison. Comparison will kill you. It will keep you in a box. It will keep you in this glass container. It will cause you to self-sabotage yourself, because if you're externally looking for the answers and you're externally looking for your happiness, then you're giving away your joy. You're giving away your love. You're giving away your laughter. You're spending your time wanting to be somebody else and where they're at. You also don't know the struggles that they've taken to get there. You might actually come on right now and look at me and go, wow, hey, she's not bad. She's good. She's okay at lives. Oh, good God, you should have seen my first live. I think I said, what did I used to say all the time? And I used to get so stuck in my head and I couldn't talk and nothing flowed and I overthought it. And it's really easy to come up now and go, oh wow, she talks some good stuff, she's not bad. I like listening to her. She flows really well and she's got good eye contact with the camera. I don't know, whatever you're thinking. It's taken me a long time to get where I am right now. And if you're comparing me in my day to day with where I am now to what I've learned, and not how far I've come and what I've learned to get here, then you're doing the same thing yourself. You're robbing yourself of growth because you're wanting to step into something that has been 8 years in the making, or 6 years, how long was this? 4 years in the making. This is 4 years in the making. And I still fuck it up. But if you compare yourself to somebody who's sitting in a reality-based life or embodiment of what you're wanting to be, then you're robbing yourself of the journey. And that's the fun part. That's the fun part, is the growth part. It's when you're really going to start to understand who you are. It's when you're really going to start to understand who you are and you're going to unravel the beautifulness of you, because you're unique. You're not supposed to be doing it like anybody else. I spoke to one of my clients today and she was like, oh yeah, but I don't want to do it that way. I don't like it. I just don't like it. And I'm like, who said you had to do it that way? Oh, well, everybody else and da-da-da and da-da. And I'm like, so you want to do everything else compared to what brings everybody else their happiness when you actually don't like doing it that way and you'd rather do it which way would make you happiness? Oh, I'd rather do it this way. Then go do it. Be okay to step out of the box. We're stepping into a whole new earth and new paradigms and new shifts and new way of beings is what best serves you. Trust me, people and the people that love you and the people that are meant to be with you, the people that are meant to be standing beside you will come to you. Just be you. Don't compare yourself to anybody else because you are amazing. You're unique. Do everything your way. Yes, detach your value from values of others because what serves them might not necessarily serve you. And don't compare. Don't compare. Don't compare. Don't compare. You never know the journey they've walked. You never know the journey they're about to walk. You never know the journey that they still need to walk. You never know what they actually still need to heal. You never know what's going on emotionally with them. You never know what's going on physically. And believe me, they're probably sitting there comparing themselves to other people. And that's just draining, right? So just do you, boo. Just do you. Because you're amazing. Don't give away your power to anybody else. And it's okay if you aren't where you think you should be or you want to be or you desire to be. It's okay if you have a backwards flip, like 2 steps back and 1 step forward. It's okay if you put yourself in an area that you just need to work out what's going on and not push into what you think you're supposed to be doing right now. It's okay. Be okay with where you're at. The most important thing is that your heart is open and you're allowing yourself to be where you are so you can be in this part of your journey. Be present to this moment instead of thinking that, oh, I want that, and then taking yourself out of that beautiful container of where you are right now. Where you are is where you need to be. Don't be a seeker. Don't seek. Don't seek your happiness because your happiness is inside of you. Sometimes you just need to do the work to get through to it, to understand it, to unravel it. We all have our own soul journey. We all have our own soul blueprint. We all have a path that we need to lead. And if we can sit within ourselves, then we can unravel that path maybe just a little bit faster, a little bit easier. So next time you find yourself comparing yourself to somebody else, I want you to flip it. And I want you to ask yourself, do I really need what they have? What do I need within myself? Why am I comparing myself to somebody else? Where am I not holding that beautiful love vibration within me? Where am I not honoring myself? Where am I not doing the work? And tell yourself what an amazing job you're doing with where you're at. You never know what anybody else is going through or how far they've come. So my message is, don't let anybody else steal your power by you thinking that you're not good enough, that they're better, that they're doing amazingly, because you just don't know. You just don't know. You never know what's going on, really, unless you've lived a day in their shoes. And you're doing an amazing job with what you've been given. And maybe right now, this is exactly where you're supposed to be doing, unraveling where you are right now. And blink of the eye, you'll be exactly where you want to be. But if you don't sit in that container of gratitude, then you're going to miss out. You could miss out the sign that's supposed to take you where you need to go because you're too busy looking at somebody else and where they've gone, how far they've come, and what you perceive that they have. And just remember, materialistics, it's not going to make you happy. It will for a short distance. It will for a short amount of time. But if you can really honor yourself and give yourself as the gratitude for how far you've come and how amazing you are, it's going to fill your tank so high that nothing else is going to matter. I remember I had to choose between, well, I didn't have to choose, but I chose between, it was my choice, getting a car or going exploring to Bali. Now, I'm a person who I like to venture, I like to create, I like to, I actually sacrifice, and I hate that word sacrifice because I don't think we need to sacrifice anything in life, but I gave up something that I could have had that was It was but an 80 grand car. It was like, oh, I loved it. It was so cool. I was like, oh my God, I want that. And Neil said to me, okay, so do you want that or do you want to go and have an adventure? I'm like, materialistic towards an adventure. I'm going on an adventure. So people watched me for the next 4 years living in Bali, living the high life. They didn't see the struggles underneath that I was going through. They didn't see what I had given up to actually be where I was. I think that was the deepest, that was the start of my real deep healing. That was the start of me trying to push through to even 2K months for the first year. That was when I started my business, but people saw me coconuts, they saw me on the beach, that what they perceived to what I had was completely different to what was actually going on behind the scenes. But people would have sat there and gone, oh my God, I want to be in Bali, I want her life. And maybe I was sitting there going, well, maybe I should have got that car and that house instead. You just don't know. So don't give away your joy to somebody else by comparing what they have and what you don't. Go into a beautiful space of loving every inch of what you've created and create some more juiciness, and don't go into lack of. Go into the abundance of, oh my God, I get to do this because I created this. What's next? What's next? You're doing amazing, boo. I love you. Bit different, really, isn't it? So step into your courage. Have the discipline. Love yourself. And be happy with where you are on your journey. And just do something every day that's going to take you a little bit closer to what you're actually desiring. That's on your soul path. Don't worry about what anybody else is doing. Wasted energy. Because one day you'll look up and you'll be like, you just don't know. Because your heart will be full and your love tank will be full, and it won't matter what they have. All right, my darling ones, I'm now starting to repeat myself, so I'm going to sign off. I'm sending you so much love and this beautiful divine new energy. Thank goodness. I woke up this morning, I was like, wow, it's so different. Yeah, do what's best for you, not what's best for anybody else. Just do you, boo. Just do you. Stay on that path, move forward, and you've got it. You've really got it. Sending you all so much love. Hey, thank you so much for watching my video. If this resonated with you, make sure you hit like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of my magical videos all around manifestation, holistic healing, spirituality, and why I show and tell you why I call myself the Life Architect. Sending you all so much love.